Welcome to Challenging the Meaning of Intelligence, a series of video podcasts exploring how different forms of intelligence are transforming our present reality. The following is a conversation with the research team of labcoexist. Ciro Davila, product and engineering focusing on human-robot interaction, Ines El Gataa, data scientist, and Sunit Joseph, experience designer. In this episode, we explore different perspectives on intelligence, discussed the evolution of professional roles, and delved into justice and ethics across nations. We also investigated how generative AI is impacting creativity. This initiative is part of the research archive of labcoexist. Welcome. And now, dear community, here they are, Sunit, Ines, and Ciro. What is your perception and what are you acknowledging about the technological context we're living in right now?
I remember, I think if we go back to my country, like when the internet first came out, one of my first fascination was with Facebook, like to connect, connect to people. And that was a big thing in my school days as well. If you are on Facebook, you were perceived as someone who is on the track of being a technologist. So after those days, then YouTube and those things, and now we are into age of AI and sharing knowledge. The biggest thing in this, I feel, is the transparency of knowledge sharing, which is, I think, the key to these stuff. Because if you see from previous times, one of the important features of these innovations were the amount of knowledge you share in between people. Like if the Egyptian civilization didn't, let's say, share their knowledge about pyramids or those stuff, maybe that's why all these different civilizations just developed on their own, and then later we, after the globalization and everything. So I think it's the world where we should acknowledge sharing knowledge and also sharing ideas to help innovation progress. Because now these days, I think we are more on the opposite side of this road, that no, we should slow down a little bit on the innovation and everything, because that might lead to some kind of destruction or something, because we don't understand it yet. That's with every other innovation or every other technology, whatever the breakthrough comes. And I think it's a natural graph of the growth. It is meant to be exponential. So I think we should embrace it more and accept that that's how it's going to be. So what if we are not accepting or acknowledging it? I think it would be just tussle with no results at the end. So there's no peace without it. So yeah.
So for you, it's basically knowledge transfer. It would be like your keyword somehow,
Yeah.
and that could be related to the opportunity, but also to the challenge that we might face with
Yeah.
all this knowledge that is being shared in an openly kind of way that could actually impact society. What is your point of view into this?
I'm quite positive about technology. Like, I'm not on the other side of this thing that it's only meant for destruction. So if we see the progress of any society, even for us, it's because of the technology. And also technology also, like for example, sharing knowledge, what I said before, that also helped to shape societal ideas and values, and this global view of like everyone is the same, let's say, like you're welcome, like as a foreigner or something. It's not that you're being seen as a different entity, right? Maybe for someone who is coming from, for example, if you think of the people coming from Africa to Americas or to other parts of the world, that was really astonishing for them. Okay, who's this guy? So now it's like we are accepting everything. That means the societal values and the societal structure has been formed in that manner of sharing this planet as one, not as different places. So I think this would help as well, since okay, it's an exponential event. So in that way, I think we will unfold more of societal values and how harmony in global terms can be established, which I think we are moving forward with it. But still, there are some backlashes which every other era has seen.
Okay.
So I think it's just these are the steps. Like whatever comes up, you first you're against it, and then, for example, let's say the internet or other big innovations, whatever came first, nobody accepted it. Everyone was scared of it. But now it's part of our lives. Also, the part of society as well. So on that, actually, you share your societal knowledge, let's say on internet. So I think it's just the catalyst of um, enhancing your societies. I'm more on a positive side of it than just the negative. There are, but
I think there is a fundamental difference between all the other innovations and technology advancement that we have as a humanity, because we are in a we are talking about a technology that for the first time the technology itself can make decisions, and before that it was just a tool, but now these tools can actually have other type of impact, and it makes sense to be worried that things can go wrong if you cannot control it.
I think it's more of worry if the things you cannot control. It's very, I think it's more of the human ego than like you can't control stuff because you're the most dominant species on Earth. So I think we are worried about if it goes into a wrong hand, right? First of all, that might turn it into something else. We are still not there, of course, about it reasoning for itself, but I think it's a new stuff for us as a human being that there might be something that would surpass us, but I think that's part of evolution for me.
Well, in my point of view, actually, um, as you said before, evolution of technology is exponential. Okay, by being exponential, you need to leave behind some people. But the problem is that the people that are left behind right now are the majority of the population. Just the minority is self-aware of what AI is and the problem and the benefits. Also, but to answer your question, I think right now we are in a point where it's a race to power in AI. Okay, we are not building the small model; we are building the biggest LLM you can ever see, because it's not for the benefit of the population; it's for the power of the country. So I don't think the main problem now is how technology is evolving. The main problem is on what we are focusing. We are not focusing on the people. We are focusing on the economy of the models, and I think that's the main issue in all the scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is, but I would say, just to maybe put the soil on this topic, that what I said was more of not looking onto the self benefits of the technology. Of course, in the age of internet as well, there are amazingly a lot of scams which you could have never thought in the industrial age. Let's say with those technologies, like phishing and those things, you couldn't do it with machines, right? Like with physical tools. So this is, of course, the good side and bad side of the things. How you use the technology, of course. In my view, I think the part of sharing the knowledge in terms of the human values, because now we are exposed to the world in a way, all the world values and everything. We learn about everyone on around us and who lives here. So I think that is also there are here it's like the two pathways where if we embrace both of them, like not just the nations, whatever whoever is building for their own, but also sharing these values, technologies, and those. Of course, nobody's sharing their military technology to any other country. In a way, it's just a deal if they're sharing it.
But also the
Right.
LLM technology, nobody is sharing.
Yeah,
DeepSeek
yeah,
was
of
the
course.
first one to make open source. So
Yeah, nobody's sharing. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like, but if we want to progress in a better way for
Mhm.
humanity, of course, the message with which OpenAI came, which I don't know if it's being delivered, that AI for the humanity, benefit of the humanity, that's the that's the vision with which every technologist should work towards, and not just be afraid of its whatever something goes bad or thing. Of course, it should be mindful about it, but still, it looks like a very big blocker to a very big thing that can open up.
It can a little bit like there are different kind of dimensions that are emerging. It's a complex subject for sure, and
Yeah.
we all know that. But one thing that I'm taking a little bit is like power is one of the thing, and the other one is what you mentioned, the intention for humanity. And I'm actually asking myself in these days, okay, what is the power? What is the role of power in all of this? But what is actually the value for humanity that they want to create? And unfortunately, I don't see, okay, the situation into towards the humanity. The intention, the selling proposition, of course, is this one, is
Yeah.
that one, okay. But I think there are some logics of power that are more strong right now.
Yeah.
That if you a little bit follow, the technicality of the LLM, how they were built, okay. And if we ask that questions in terms how the LLMs, that is like a huge book, like an encyclopedia that has a lot of knowledge coming from everywhere, the first question that I make myself is where that data came from. Okay. And how power played on taking the data from whatever source, okay, they managed to, and put it into something that is available to humanity. What is the weight of what is the purpose of humanity, but actually what did you take from that humanity in a certain kind of way? So this goes for me talking around this term of power that says like, this is the first dimension of power that I see. The second dimension of power that I see, that I think I completely agree that I think the advancement that we're seeing are very interesting and are very amazing sometimes. But what I'm seeing is like it's more driven by power than the impact that they want to create in humanity. And I'm just turning on that because while I study those characters that are creating those technologies, and I try to understand what they think and what they dream and what actually what is their purpose on all of that. For me, it's like, okay, they are very intelligent people, and I cannot, of course, say the contrary on that. They have a purpose, but I don't see that the purpose very combines to what we all need right now. I see something that emerged in a very zooming out way. There is this competition between those powers, so the different characters, the different who wants more power is the one who needs to have the more data or the more strongest system or mechanism in the market. And it's like I feel okay, like there is a competition between those characters that run the power right now somehow. And it's a little bit like this is what I'm feeling like we're having. It's like not because I want the best for you, but it's because I need to demonstrate that I'm the best. And then there comes the rest. And for me, this is a struggle because I'm a fan of technology, because I study technology and I know that it could bring a lot of potentialities. But at the same time, it's like the disappointment a little bit. It's who's running it. It's like, I don't know if you're really focusing on what you really needs to. And what you see, and I listened to, I went to an event the other day, actually, of Luciano Floridi. That is an Italian philosopher that he's working in the mid, etc., etc. And he brought another kind of reflection that I was very like okay, yeah, you're right. He said like, right now we're living in a moment where we are very much focused on the model than the system that model belongs to. Okay, so we are really focused on the tool, basically, on what is the LLM, what the LLM performs, what is this, how can I make it stronger? But actually, that model needs to be put it in a system that could be a society, that could be a context, a city, or whatever. And we're just missing actually the scope and the purpose that we want to create in that system. And that, I think, for me was very enlightening, because it's true. We're focused on the tool and not actually in what brings it into the society. And if we see the speed of these technologies and how the good things, but also the harms or the challenges that they can create for humanity, I said, like, maybe we can go a little bit slower. It wouldn't be bad. Okay. And maybe instead of focusing who makes the DeepSeek or the ChatGPT or the other one that is going to be tomorrow that we don't know when it's going to come, yeah, but take it and place it for the people needs and for the people behaviors that we are having right now. Okay, so how are you connecting that model to what society needs? Of course, we need to drive to innovation. Okay, we need to sometimes bring in a top-down kind of way things to change the mechanism of societies and the market. But at the same time, it's like you're handling with a lot of information and you're handling with a lot of responsibility. Okay, also. And in terms of that knowledge sharing and the power, is also about the responsibility of the outcomes that this is coming. Who is taking that responsibility? I don't know. I'm doing myself these questions right now.
Yeah, I think what is interesting on that last point that you say is that actually this race is not about solving just one problem. It's just get there first, have the bigger one, and have the most influential on whatever market you can. So you can see that right now a lot of companies are just trying to understand how to use this technology on whatever you're doing. You know, if you're producing food, if it's healthcare, if it's consultancy, if it's whatever it is, everyone is just trying to do something with that, just with the fear of belief, behind of the technology, without thinking if it's actually something good for society or even for your market or whatever. You don't have like the time to sit down and think about the consequences. Like for another product development in another time, maybe you can try to understand your context better, try to understand your market, your users, do some research in the ideal case. Right now you just need to get there first and put something to market that will give you the advantage. And then what the consequences of that are going to be, nobody knows. But the biggest thing here is that as we are living in a very globalized world, as you were saying, and the power that these technologies can have a much bigger impact than other things, and is that could get out of hands. But on the other sense, I mean, I think there are two ways, or there are like the consequences of going faster or slower with these technologies. People say like there are two things. So if we go too slow, then how we are going to solve all the thousands of problems that humanity has that with our current technologies we are not going to solve, that these technologies will like offer a solution. It's like we can end world hunger, we can end climate warming, we can end all the existential problems of humanity. But on the other, and that is like a very good reason to move fast, and as you were saying, to be open, to share the knowledge, to try to get to this utopia that AI will solve humanity. But on the other part, if we go that fast, so if we don't put the feet on the brake a little bit and try to think about and regulate the technology, then we have a very big risk that the solutions will only work for the 1% of the people and all that, right? So we are in this two-way road, I think, that the big players are deciding. So where we want to go.
I have a question on this. Like, okay, we see that AI has caused some problems which we never thought it would. But how did we got to know about it when these people put it out in the world and it went out of the context or some other way, right? For every other product, or let's say, or any other service, whatever we put out, how do we test it? Can you test through only simulations? Maybe it might not work in the real world. So that also looks like a very big blocker, that if we just sit and assess without putting it out or in a controlled environment, because the real world doesn't work in a controlled environment, it can go anywhere. So now we know the really bad stuff of what AI can or can't do, because it was put out there, because it's part of how the cycle of any product or anything works when if it's out in the real world. So I wouldn't say that it was a deliberate or intentional way to harm someone. It was its nature that it was hard to understand and hard to adapt, and things went south for some stuff, and we are aware and we know that okay, these things are wrong for it, so we need some time to correct it and make things right for in this context for this AI or something. But at the same time, as you said, it's also a race. Like if you remember, every other new technology came because of a race. First was a space race, then it was the World War II and everything that increased the technological innovation race, let's say, at one point. And in today's world, there are actually, they said, there are more wars going on than World War II. I mean, the countries involved right now in the war, it's more than World War II countries right now. It's of silent wars and civil wars and every other war, which you can imagine. So I think we are quite in a bad time of our human life on Earth. So having a blocker, and I think it's still natural. I would say it's the natural flow of a technology or innovation, whatever is going on. But still, we shouldn't focus on this particular race of power, money, and everything, which a lot of people are doing. But we should also acknowledge and learn, okay, these things are going wrong, and we should sit and regulate it, and some things which bodies are doing, whatever they can do. But it's still a tussle, and I don't know if it's a healthier tussle or if it's a, I don't know, just going towards one. If one side is winning, as per one side is just building stuff and putting it out, and one side is just trying to regulate it and make it safe. So who is going to win? And if it's a fair competition or not, it's a symbiotic relationship it should have. It's also a question still.
Talking about the speed of innovation, okay, and the regulation kind of stuff, what I understood studying artificial intelligence and the mechanism that are behind artificial intelligence is the fact that, or at least what I understood, it was the fact that you needed to perform the technology to acknowledge what kind of harm it might perform. Okay, and this is the kind of the different kind of situation that we're living from past situations or past innovations that we have done. Okay, so for me, it was very amazing when I started studying the mechanism and the concept and the process behind. And then when I started studying about ethics and I started studying the cases, I said, how can they allow that this happen? Okay. But actually, and it's not a justification, because this is something of the things that I said, like, how can we achieve, something that is proper and that is fair? So how can we achieve fairness in something that we don't know actually how it's going to grow? And this is, I think, one of the paradox of these times, of these technologies, actually. And this is why I understood that the regulations and the fairness arrive after the damage is done. And what I'm scared about is, okay, how much damage for how many people, and what big impact that damage is going to have. And I think this is the difference of what we have lived before, and it's the fact that when they even talk about artificial general intelligence, there is like this growing creature. How do you say creature?
Criteria?
Creature.
Creature. Okay.
This sort of creature that they're growing, okay, based on data, okay, but that probably is going to perform differently in different kind of contexts. But at the same time, it's like, how can we know actually the impact and the damage that thing is going to do if we don't know actually what the thing within is going to grow? It's going to be elaborated. Of course, you're more expert on this than me, so if you have something that you want to add on that. So, but linking to that is like, okay, we don't know the impact for how much people, the society, and so on. But the situation is like the regulations are arriving late because the damage is already done. But right now, what I think that is going to happen is that the damage is going to be that huge that the regulations are going to be very late. Okay. And it's because this speed of innovation that we were talking about, that we just need to go fast, and they're not testing that into a very specific specific market, or a specific cluster of people, early adopters, the concept of early adopters in one time of innovation. The early adopters are the entire society. And this is what gets scary. Okay. So the other day I saw an Instagram post that says like that Grok should be closed. Okay. Because Grok was telling people how to create atomic bombs in a very easy way. So there was this guy that was making this reflection on this kind of thing, and was recalling responsibility on who created Grok. Okay. On the other side, there was another comment that says, if it's in Grok, it was already available in the internet. Okay. So I don't know also where are the kind of trade-off of this kind of thing. And this is why I think what the European Union is doing on AI Act is it's fair. We need it. We don't need to have the freedom that other countries are choosing, probably. But at the same time, with the speed of innovation that other countries are performing, those regulations probably are going to be, running behind like crazy. And it's because I come back to the subject of we're focusing too much on the model, not in the system, and we're just not actually acknowledging or caring that market that happens to be the entire society is performing the best part of your technology, but also the worst part of your technology. I don't know if do you have some point?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing. It's the fact that you can't regularize something you don't know. That's the point. We don't actually know at the state of art how model works. So you cannot actually predict or even regularize something you have. So yeah, I think the point is we left much freedom to models and employment of the models. We actually could predict those outcomes in a fair way. So
How come?
yeah, the
How-
outcomes
how-
of the models.
But how come can you do it in a fair way?
Well, there are some techniques in the
Mhm.
from the data science point of view,
Okay.
but you cannot just create a thing and leave it to the market like this free.
Yeah, of course.
You need to follow it, and you need to know what you are giving to the market.
Mhm.
The point is we don't know what we gave to the market, so that's
Like, really?
that was the main problem when
I doubt it.
Yeah.
The
Like-
thing is that they work like a black box.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
not that
thing,
part.
so-
I mean, whatever the technology is bringing, I mean, they have an idea what it's going to do in a way,
I
but
don't
they don't
think
have
they,
any
No, I don't
ethical.
think
I
so,
don't think
no.
they did.
actually
Sure.
models work like a black
No, I
box,
was-
so you don't know how the model actually think.
I mean, that part is there, of course.
Yeah.
I'm saying not the technology, the tool with which that technology is being tuned in, let's say, the HR thing. Like there is a company called Rippling that does this basically. They have these HR tools, with AI powered HR tools. They are selling this tool with AI technology to do it. They know that what are the ethical implications and everything, those things. So when you are putting it out as a tool with a technology inside it, right? So I'm just thinking, like, do people really don't know that they have some ethical implication, really?
I think it's very difficult to get any product to the market, and it's very easy when the things bad happens, to put the finger and say, well, I mean, how that engineer didn't knew that it was leaving
Not the
women's
engineer.
out. But I mean, you probably don't have not the time or the effort to just think of all the possible outcomes. The thing is that we are talking about technology that can do many things. It's not like I don't know, a screwdriver that you know what you are going to test. Very simple tool, right? It's something that could teach you how to build an atomic bomb. It's something that can teach you how to cook. It's something that can talk to you. So it's very difficult also to test. I'm agreeing with you. It's also how we are going to regulate these technologies. We don't actually know what they are doing. Actually, I heard, but this is a little bit old. From October, was a podcast in October that they were trying to pass a bill in California where they were going to regulate the deployment of very, very big models. So if you were like training a model of more than 100 million or something like that, very big numbers, then you should be regulated on that models. Because the assumption, I suppose, what I understood is that we are talking about models that could be AGI. So we are not talking about the very small LLMs that could have some limited impact, but something very big. If you are at these very big labs that are doing these very big things, then you should be regulated. And the idea was on that end. I don't know what happens on that bill. I don't know what is going to happen now with these new administrations and so on. But for me, it makes sense. I mean, you have, maybe you don't know what you are going to regulate, but at least the very big players or the very big models that could have bigger impact, it should be somehow maybe not regulated, but follow it more. I don't know. It's complex.
There was a concept that and one person that I talked to some month ago introduced to me. It was a little bit linked to what you're saying. There are methodologies to foresee a little bit what can go wrong into technology, and taking into account that when we say that most of the people who created that thing, they don't know how it's going to evolve. because it has many uses, because, you know, depending on the interaction that generate other kind of conversations, and it's not like something that it could be controlled. It's like the algorithm is going and going and going and growing and growing. And what he said was like, I think I was talking about what can designers can do in this kind of context, and he was reflecting about how can we implement in the process of design of an AI artifact that could be a product or a service, the fact that you can work with other capabilities, of course, to foresee what can go wrong of that model. It's not what only the model can do that is the perfect kind of what is the user experience that it's going to have. Okay, what are you going to talk about? What is it going to do? But what can go wrong? And I think due to the little past that we have built on AI, okay, it's my acknowledgement. I'm not an expert. It's like we can start doing assumptions, even if it's not technical. I'm doing like for the experience that we have, like try to map in the different kind of harms that technology does. Okay, in terms of discrimination, in terms of, I don't know, if the software goes wrong, what happens? And we can try to start like mapping all these flaws. And in the design kind of process that involves not only designers, we can imagine those scenarios of the machine that can go wrong. Of course, maybe in that sense, the machine will go wrong anyway. Okay. But at least everyone who is in the project, okay, has the same expectations of the good side of that artifact and the bad side. So you can also dedicate your time as a company or whatever thing you are, entity you are, to acknowledge your public, your user, on what can go wrong with that kind of
by doing
mechanism.
a simulation, for example. Actually, this is a way in how to cut off biases.
Mhm.
So yeah, this simulating is a way. Also, you just
mentioned.
Yeah, you just mentioned a good point, which is the ethic of the forecasting of the outcomes of the models. Actually, if you talk about from a ethic and fairness point of view, you can see that we nowadays we have a lot of ethics. For example, there is the West, the ethic that is employed in the West, the Arab ethics, and whatever. In the Arab ethics, there is a point in which it's a must that you need to predict outcomes of the model. Mm-hmm. You cannot deploy a model if you don't have the outcomes or a prediction of the outcomes. Mm-hmm. And you put in the center the person, the people, mm-hmm. not just the accuracy. Because in the West ethics, we have a trade-off between accuracy and fairness, which are not the same. But anyway, in the Arab ethics, you need to put in the middle the fairness. So you cannot leave anyone behind. Exactly. For example, a wrong prediction or whatever, which is called, in Italian, it's called falso positivo, which is when you basically, for example, I need to give you a loan, but the model doesn't count you as a receiver, for example. And yeah, the Arab way of deploying models, in the Arab way of deploying models, you must need to put in the center the person. Yeah, which is a totally different approach.
It's a totally different approach that start going out from the focusing only on the pro and the good thing of that, but to acknowledge that these products, it's normal that they go wrong in different kind of way that maybe even the owner or the creator don't know. So we need also, I think this is a matter of responsibility and accountability of actually, you want to change the game, you want to bring innovation, we're in. But if we really want to create impact in all the lenses, we need to do the best thing, but we need to understand how can it go wrong, and we need to try to understand how can we actually acknowledge people of how it can go wrong. Okay. And there was another concept or on expectations, okay, as well, that it was very interesting. Like the expectations of big tech are like, wow, like they're selling like stars, planets. You're like very amazed of what you're seeing. But actually, what the AI, the current AI can do is very little. It's not that amazingness. So also you are exposing to the consumers, okay, of high level, very high level expectations, but actually the mechanism is still growing in a certain kind of way. I don't know if you agree on that.
Yeah.
Is that so? I think the one of the words or things that for me are emerging in this discussion also is this responsibility concept, actually, that it goes along not only with ethics and not only with innovation, but it goes also along with expectations and with the market itself and what the society is living. So how can you generate that change? And in that sense, if OpenAI, if the biggers are not doing it, what is the role of the people who are studying these subjects? Where is the role of each of us on doing innovation in this context in a different kind of way? Because already big tech adopted a certain kind of approach. That probably it's their approach, but it shouldn't be the approach for each of the innovations that we should have. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, putting everything under one umbrella of regulation. But so previously, my question was basically about I was not getting the word responsibility. Easy word, but I didn't get it. So, I mean, the thing was that if they are putting out something, they have some idea that something might go wrong and something might be good. So, they might have some ethical angle to it, but not everything, of course. You can't predict what you don't know. But then later, the bad things happen, then the regulatory board, let's say, comes up to safeguard people and everything. But now, since you learn this, that these things can go wrong and everything, but I'm still not sure about how well we can predict things. Okay, we can have some, let's say, what's that thing called? False. This thing.
Positive.
False positive.
No, when you turn off the thing,
Like a switch.
yeah, I
Power
mean, I don't not switch, like false save, something like that. Like basically, now you have more information on how bad it can go, right? So you have more data on regulation, or more like more spectrum on where it can things can go wrong on regulation. So how strong is this regulatory body in itself? Okay, we see innovation skyrocketing in one way, but are we also questioning how good these regulatory bodies are with their assessments, with their like why are they still behind? Like if they know they are behind, now they should be also prepared to, let's say, collaborate with them and go hand in hand, ethical problems to be solved. If their companies doesn't have in-house ethical, I don't know, team or something, why aren't these regulatory bodies taking stand? Because they are the most one of the powerful powers of their countries. Okay, there are the power people which with money, but still political power is also on the same level in a way, which these regulatory bodies are part of, right? But that's the question: who's doing what?
The
Who's
thing is
responsible
that
for what?
it's not I think the reality is not that simple,
Yeah, of
actually. I
course.
mean, I don't think no one really knows what is the best way forward. I mean, you see the tendency of, okay, it's better just to move faster to beat the other guys, and regulations are just going to stop us. It's what is going to happen, for example, for Europe, if it keeps just regulating everything and innovation is just too far behind to just stay in the game. So what in the case of Europe, what should Europe do? Just be safe
That's
and
what I
just
asked
live.
at first.
Keep
Is this regulation a
be-
blocker or not? Is this
I
kind of
think
regulatory
it's
bodies?
of course a blocker, but it's the correct thing, it's a responsible thing to do it. I mean, it's very difficult to just answer a clear yes or no. I mean,
Yeah, of course. It's maybe not yes or no, but that's the question. Like, if this regulation overpowers the speed of innovation or whatever, just for to be safe, we still don't know if the innovation would go bad or worse, or it would stay safe with every other thing being safe.
yeah, because I think we haven't seen yet the worst outcomes of these technologies. You know, I think maybe what we have seen, it's not that bad on how could be, or that good how it could be, because it could go
I would
both
kind of
ways,
agree on that, because every day is worse than the last one. So.
yeah, but you know, it's like, okay, before the beginning, at least this is how I see it, or how I can remember at this moment. But it's like you start and okay, these things have some bias, and then it's leaving some people behind, and these were the problems. Now the things that this system are being used to like change elections and create a mass way of fake information and very problematic things that are changing actually how humanity is working these days. So it's not just like you know, a system that doesn't have the data of some people. It's just that the people can use this system to create so many things that are having a very big impact on humanity. So it's, I don't know. I think I maybe went too far.
Yeah, you were a little bit contrary in the messages, because you were talking about maybe it wasn't that bad, okay,
Like
but
me.
at the same time you were saying like it is changing even the way that we're living, okay. And I think in terms of it's not that bad, okay.
It's becoming bad.
Huh?
It's becoming bad, basically.
It's becoming bad, yes, but it's like it has been already bad.
Yeah.
It has been already very bad in different contexts, not only bias. It's the people who goes to jail because of facial recognition. Is people who is not accepting, I don't know, houses and loans because of their racial or economic income. It's maybe
also in the medicine.
Sorry.
Also in the medicine.
In the medicine, yeah, the medicine sector. They are not accessing medicine.
Yeah, also, but also, for example, in the dermatologic sector.
Okay.
I was working once in a company, and they were basically picking some random people to test the cream. And the AI chose the geolocalization of the peoples, and the AI chose just the white quartieri.
Blocks.
Choose just the white blocks. The point is, this dermatologic cream was actually sold to everyone. So basically, you're testing a cream to everyone, even the black people. And we discovered later on that this cream was like actually bad for black skin people. Yeah. So yeah,
exactly. And all the part of the misinformation and disinformation and fake news and all of these kind of context, what has created in terms of polarizations in the societies in a political matter, I think it has been already bad. It can get worse, and it's going to get worse. The situation is, I think, to go to your question, if we focus too much on regulations and ethical matters, what is the speed of innovation? Okay, what is the risk? And this is why, the Americas is doing what it's doing, and this is why somehow Europe is taking care. But one of the things that Europe is facing, okay, in comparison with America, is the fact that we might be very good, probably, in the regulation part and trying to stay safe in that, delicate context. But Europe itself is not creating a hub of innovation that can compete with other countries. And this is actually one of the delicate things that Europe is facing, because it's not about, I think the situation is not about if you focus too much on regulation, you speed down regulation. I think you can find the trade-off on doing in the different process and the different, how to say, in the different stages of the AI development. You can try to create value, okay, to decrease the harm in many different kind of ways. The situation is that Europe is facing a lack of an innovation hub, and this is why there is an investment, and this is why the Mario Draghi statement, I don't know if you listened to it or if you read it, he said like Europe is very much behind. I don't know what it needs to be done, but just do something, because we cannot actually compare on the high level innovation that America is doing and what we're doing. In the meantime, we have the law and we have the regulations, but we are very behind that.
Yeah, I think for Europe, trying to achieve what America has, it's just it will be a failure. Europe needs to innovate in the small things, not the biggest LLM or whatever, because we don't have the money and we don't have the microchip and whatever you need to build an LLM. So last week or 2 weeks ago, actually, France and also Italy got a round of investment from Arab countries, and also they got a plan in doing that, but I don't think it will go somewhere. But yeah, to answer your question, it depends on what is your focus. You want to build the biggest LLM, then you don't need to regularize anything. You want to focus on people, then you need to have a regularization.
Yeah, of course, that is there, but still, the amount of freedom and everything creative comes with the level of freedom what you have in a way. I mean, I'm not saying level of freedom in terms of harming people or what it gets to. Okay, you create something, it's going to be quite messy in future or when it's deployed or accepted. Okay, then we regularize stuff. But if you put regulations even before, like these things shouldn't be there in, let's say, in terms of technological development, or they shouldn't translate into these terms for people. Where is this blocker going to be affected in future innovations? In this, okay, you put regulation and everything, but then you need to work through or around that regulation things, so that you still innovate, you still pace up, but still be on a safer side. So it's kind of a cap over what, like your hands were free, but now you have to sit inside a given cabin and work, and don't look here and there, just make things better just for these.
Yeah, that's the price you need to pay for fairness.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
you need to invest time, you need to invest money, you need to invest your focus not only on making and developing an algorithm, you need to focus, and this is one of the crises that startups have, like focusing on the innovation, on the thing, and then when they see ethics or they see that they need to focus on fairness, they are like overwhelming, they just go through. But then if the thing is not compliant and it doesn't work, it's going to be, so this is also it's not the fault of the people who is creating the thing, but it's the fault also, it's not the fault, it's the responsibility as well of the investors who want to develop something that can be compliant, not in all the things, in all the dimensions, but at least the main ones. Because I think one of the things also that I have learned, at least, or I have understood, is the fact that, for example, if you want to focus on tackling the bias that you could create, that you're creating with your model, okay, you need to have decisions on probably in the beginning what kind of bias you need to tackle in which way, because if you focus on all the bias and the different types of discriminations, it could be very broad. So you need to do also trade-off in a strategic point of view, but also impactful point of view, where you need to dedicate your energy, okay, to go first in the market, but in the following days, month, I don't know, in the progressive way of your innovation, where to focus on the other kind of harms that you can create, because I think focusing on everything at the same time is a little bit difficult, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Also here, there has been a lot of sharing these days, and big tech is sharing this narrative on how machines are going to take the jobs of people. And I think this narrative is already for a while, okay? But right now, with the first scene of the AGI coming, somehow, this narrative came back, okay? And I'm very amazed to listen to this kind of message, okay, even from the ones who are creating the model, okay? And what is behind this kind of thing and why they're saying what they're saying, okay? So I'm right now asking myself, like, okay, why are we considering that the machine is the super intelligence and the humans no? Okay. What are we conceiving as an intelligence, as a concept of intelligence right now to do so? And my reflections are going between is they're going to surpass us? Why? And if they're going to be low, in a lower kind of level in comparison to us, why? And if they're going to be equal to us, why? So I think once I mentioned in a lecture, probably in different kind of conversation about AI mirrors ourselves, in terms of imagining this sort of mirror of what you want to, how to say, reflect on that, depending on the objective that you're given. So my question is, why right now we are taking that narrative into the market or in talking publicly, where we don't know if it's going to be that way, or maybe because we are not creating the mechanism of collaborating with the machine. I don't know if that could be a scenario that we can see or foresee. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, actually, Mira Murati just opened a firm about cooperating with machines, human-machines relationship. So it's actually something that we're building. The point about the fact that this propaganda narrative is widespread is actually marketing, because you need to sell a product. If I scare you, you're more interested in what I'm saying. So you will you will use the LLM or whatever. So you're basically doing what I want you to do. So
consume.
that's the point.
But it's true that making your work easier. So let's talk about, because of course we can talk about, it's very broad as how these machines can replace you, right? But if you are like a white collar and your work is getting so much effective thanks to this system, so companies can of course think, okay, maybe I don't need 20 guys to do the job, maybe I need 5. That is still a reasoning.
I think it's in the nature of the job. If the job is actually repetitive, then maybe actually a model can replace it. But the model cannot have curiosity or think outside the box. So the jobs that are more, for example, creative, or that requires more of mental thinking, can be replaced that easy. Of course, for example, the job of a cashier could be replaced by a robot that operates a model, because it's repetitive, it's manual and whatever.
Actually, those are the jobs that are getting harder to replace.
from the robotic perspective,
Yeah.
not from the model. Yeah, from the robotic perspective, so all the hardware part, yeah, but not from the software part. For example, you cannot replace an engineer.
But
that
you
is
can
working on a
replace some
site.
of the tasks that
Some of the
engineers do.
tasks, the repetitive one, yeah, of course. This we can call, this is what we call making easy the job, making easiest the job, basically.
Yeah.
But you cannot replace the entirety of the mention. So
No, I mean, I'm completely agree with that, but it's obvious that this system could have a very huge potential on helping you to do your work much faster.
yeah,
And actually, that's the idea, because, but it made you think that maybe you don't need as many people as before. You just need 5 good ones with a good technology to do the work of 20.
yeah. Actually, it's improving the process. Yeah, you can use the model to improve the process.
But I don't see, like, the 20 people go to your homes. I think one of the things that it does is that you can rethink new roles. You can evolve in your role in a different kind of way, or you can just repurpose, okay, your even your life into something new, probably because you were like, okay, you pass from this to that. But I think one of the things is that if we're going to have more time, because automation is going to be a reality, okay, probably in that sense, we are allowing the machine to augment our capabilities and allow us to dedicate into something that creates also values. So I think it's going to be, how to say, both sides. It should be, some people are going to be, how to say, are going to be left behind, probably. Other ones could rethink their role in that context into something different, into a new context where artificial intelligence and technology is, so they can evolve within. And there might be other ones that they would just need to say, okay, I'm leaving, I'm doing something else. And this is also going to happen a lot.
But I think this is the outcome of the innovation, technology innovation. For example, when they build the first car, the one who
to ride the horse,
yeah,
the ones
to
who ride
the
the
horse,
horse,
yeah. Actually, they lost the jobs because because of cars. So I think it's the normal outcome, normal process of technology innovation.
I mean, this connects again to what we were discussing at the beginning. This technology innovation, of course, has bring that challenge to humanity all the times. Like, okay, we invent the vapor machines, then everything changed, and we have this industrial revolution where everything changed because now we can do things much faster and in mass, on the mass production, all that, and that part, all the artisanal,
handy things, crafts,
had some issues, and people need to adapt to this new reality. And I'm agree, of course, that we will need to adapt. The thing is that it's going to be difficult because the change it could be more difficult because it's more faster. So you will have much less time to adapt. I mean, we are seeing this already, but the company can leave you out just tomorrow because the model is already there. While maybe before you can have at least a couple of years to train yourself on this new technology while the new machines arrive and all that. Now it's like you have to be ready tomorrow to change to this new reality and to do something. And as a society, it should be something to understand, how we are changing all our system of even education, because maybe I'm entering another part, but we need to also think about how we are going to raise the new generations if we actually are going to live in a world where all the knowledge is going to be available very easy to this system. So do we need to study the same way that we did? I mean, the new kids needs to study that, or they can prepare to be ready to just learn everything new, change from profession to another, be much more flexible than before.
I agree until some part, because yeah, you say it's going to happen tomorrow, but one of my things is, yeah, the one person company and these things that they are selling about replacement, I think in some sectors are going to happen fast, but in another ones, depending on how you manage your data. So for me, it's going to be the speed of the replacement depend on how you manage the system and the data that is going to be linked to that. Because if it's the entire company tomorrow morning, I don't think it's going to happen with the entire situation, with the data paradigm in that kind of sense. Okay, so in that sort of dimension, I think the leaders of organization needs to understand where is going to be their purpose. Okay, or the one person company, or focusing on the DNA of the algorithm that is the data. So you have to invest a lot to transform that into something that is valuable, that say, like, I don't want to pay humans, I want to pay machines, because this is basically what this kind of narrative is saying. But to achieve that in a very fast way, and knowing the companies, at least the ones that I have worked in Italy, and understanding even the context in general, is not something that happens like that. It's a matter of adoption of the technology. It's a matter of managing the technology and managing data. It's a matter of education, because to do so in a fast way, you need people to start working on that in a very fast way to feed that system to achieve a specific goal. So there might be trade-off. Probably these super intelligent mechanisms are going to arrive that is going to amaze us. I don't know. Right now, in the context of today, I think that if you want to that thing happen tomorrow, you need to refocus your objective or your organization and trying to adopt technology and adopt a data mindset within that context.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult.
I mean, it won't be that rapid, I would say. It's like how you said. I mean, of course, I think that's more metaphorical what you said.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
But
maybe tomorrow we're not happening. Oh my God,
we open our eyes
you were
on
right.
Mars. Like, of course, I think everyone is anyway, whosoever are in those specific careers, they know. I mean, they are mostly corporate people are aware of the trends and what's coming in and coming out. So I think everyone has idea about it, that there will be a time soon enough that some things might automate. Also because the hype around what something is being sold, as you said, like the hype is like crazy, but the value you get is like just a bit.
I saw many companies actually buying models and at one point saying, okay, what I do with that?
Yeah.
So now how I'm gonna move on?
Then you need to hire someone to understand that.
Exactly.
The
that probably
implementation
doesn't
employment.
exist, that profession yet.
Yeah.
Like
just to say our company works with AI.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, the implementation of these models and this technology is going to be very difficult to do it.
Yeah.
But everyone is trying to do it. I mean, it's to expect it, as you were saying. But what I fear is that the majority of people is just not going to be able to change that fast. Because not everyone is just focusing on learning the new technologies, the new trends. They are not even caring about those things. They are just living. And
that's also part of their growth as well. I mean, if, for example, you said the horse rider, if he learns that, okay, this thing is new, I mean, it's also hard to adapt and learn stuff in some certain age or certain,
especially in Italy.
parts.
In Italy, especially, we are much conservative here.
Yeah.
Like, my job is my job. I don't want to change. I don't want to
Yeah.
grow. I don't want to learn other things. So
Then you haven't seen India.
Yeah, and
So because in India, what happens is we like in I think in mostly in that South Asian context is we rely more on the government jobs than the corporate. What will you do in government if these things come up? You have nothing, no talent, nothing, and just weird. But anyways, so for example, I was reading about it that these software testers, like quality assurance engineer, and these things will be automated in certain way, because also there was an experiment actually that a task was given to three combinations: AI and human, and just AI. So like these three, and the time and the quality of task were kind of like the human and AI. So the AI did the best, then did the human and AI, and the worst was the human in terms of this automation process. So it's, I mean, this is a reflection, and this is the learning that okay, we need to understand this and adapt to certain technology and certain way of life. It depends solely on the person, I would say, because this is coming and everyone know about it. This is, history repeats itself. It's kind of like that.
Also, of course, depends on the task. There are going to
Yeah,
be
on the
tasks
task as well,
that can
exactly.
be automated, some other time.
But it won't be so dramatic, I would say, that everyone is losing their job and with the same hype.
I mean, the
I would say.
fear was there.
Yeah, I guess it's still there.
Yeah, we're far,
It's
we're
going to
far away from the super intelligence they want to
Yeah.
sell us, you know, the one that is like us and whatever.
Yeah.
be. You think
better.
how far do you think we are?
Oh, a lot.
A lot.
Like,
I have a comment on this. It's really weird one.
okay, which comment? No, a lot.
Like
yeah.
years.
We're not even to 25%.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That for me, I think it relieves me a little bit. I
Yeah.
must
So
say.
you're not
24% then means that in 10 years we're going to have it?
No, 10 years. No, not 10 years. More. I think more.
That for me, it's relieving. I don't know for you guys.
Well, actually, it depends on the bar, right? Because what we are talking about of this AGI type of thing is going to be better on what? I mean,
Not better than us, but like us. Like they can think as us.
And they can. I think one of the things that for me, the different definition is like the current AIs needs to be in a specific context. If you take it to another context, they make difficulty in adapting.
Yeah.
The super intelligent ones or the AGI are going to be like us because they can adapt easily in the different kind of contexts, right?
That's how the best LLM works. They are a mixture of experts. So every piece of LLM works for a specific thing. And then they actually collect all the results, and then you got your output. But they cannot work in different contexts, as you said.
Yeah.
So yeah, to have an LLM or whatever, a model like us, we're far away from them. We're still far away.
Because they might need to adapt to different circumstances, like the autonomous car, like the talking to someone, like doing groceries, and the amount of data that they need to do all of that is like, it's not very few. At least that someone invents the way of doing this adaptation without the need of, training the model and giving data in a certain kind of way, right?
I'm thinking of the example which you gave about the replica, with like if you feed someone's life history to a model, let's say, it learns from it, right? I mean, it can't maybe, let's say, think, but it can still think of the alternative answers which it might get. Like for example, I see a glass which is half filled. Someone will see, okay, you know that story, that okay, it's half filled. When someone say that okay, half is filled with air, other perspective. So if you know, because these thoughts, what you say or what you think is your own reasoning behind it, of because of these data point which you have. I don't know what a guy in New Zealand is thinking right now because of his political context, or I don't know. I can't adapt there. I need time to adapt, right? It's not just the next day I get adapted there. So I think it's the same with the machines as well. the reasoning, what's our definition of intelligence, reasoning, and everything, it's just confined with us. It might surpass, because how intelligence has been assessed these days is, the tests and IQ tests and those things,
Yeah, the benchmark.
which which is basically the computational power, the processing power, and how well you can reason in certain contexts, just music and those things. So it's still a scale where you can assess this performance and how well you can memorize or uh, read between the lines, which is the definition of intelligence. Actually, it's some Greek word, or which means to read between the lines. So how confined are we with ourselves about the intelligence itself? For example, I think there was a sea creature, I forgot which one was it, which sees more colors than us. Is it more intelligent than us? I don't know. So this definition, I think, would change
In that
over
context,
time.
yeah, maybe, no?
It depends from the context.
Context, exactly. So we still don't know the context in which we would be living with that level of intelligence. Also, this is also funny in a way that we know one supreme entity which looks like us, who's there before us, we
No,
say
you
it
don't
as
understand what?
God.
What?
God who looks like us, who is superpower than us. So I think is that human fear which we have in our hearts from the very beginning, that something super intelligent would come and we would be all.
So what you say is
off.
that we think that this AGI is going to be like a god
It's
type
in
of.
an
It's
embedded
the
fear.
image, yeah. It's
an
the
embedded
image.
fear in
It's
us.
our
It's
imagination.
the
Okay.
imagination with every human live with these days.
That's actually a cool point of view.
I mean, that's what I think. Like, because if you see gods, except you, like everyone has a hand, has a foot, and it's because even in Bible it said that humans are the reflection of the God. What, really? If it is, then if this AGI or
Something
whatever
more.
Wow, this is a very
comes
nice.
up,
Yeah.
then how you're not ready for it, because you started worshipping something because you were scared, because it's more powerful than you in certain terms. It can be strength, mind strength, action strength, whatever it is. So I think it's
That's
just
like very embedded in our human nature of creating these ideas on this super.
So it's on us if you're
beings.
adapting to it or not, if you're ready to adapt these changes, because we are like a container of thoughts anyway. If I raise two kids in really different environments, but they are my kids, it doesn't make them think in the same manner, but they still are my kids, but I'm thinking in a different way. So it doesn't add up at the end. That other kid might think something else of certain context, something.
Yeah.
So
I have a reflection, because I was doing this question and I'm a little bit obsessed right now on these different concepts of intelligence and how we're perceiving this intelligence and why are we afraid of, and actually what is the complementary or the pros and cons, and what is it going on there. And I was doing a reflection on, okay, why a machine could be more intelligent than us. Okay, they can have much more data than what I have. So I'm comparing with me. Okay. In a one entity, so I have the machine and I have Marihum, or I have a human. They could have a bunch of data that I would need to read the books since I was born. Okay. But even though I wouldn't arrive to the same speed or amount of data that a machine have. And say, okay, this is something that the machine have that I don't have, but it's okay. I don't see that as a threat. Okay. The second thing is, okay, the speed of things that machine can perform. Okay, basically. So the different kind of algorithm and the different kind of context and the different things that they can do. Usually we can do fewer things, probably. Okay. In a very specific context, but if we do fewer things, This is what we join with other intelligences, with other disciplines to arrive or to achieve something. Okay, so collective intelligence, because we don't have the speed and the mechanism of a machine. So we need other people like us today, okay, to have different point of views, to have different kind of knowledge, and then we are, how to say, back feeding each other through language and through what we're saying. And for this, the machine could be best because it has everything already. There are a bunch of things, and the fact that it can perform in different kind of things and in different kind of contexts or different kind of things or achieve different kind of goals. And I say, okay, is that a threat? No, I don't think it's a threat at all. I think instead,
depends if you are a librarian or something like that. Could be.
Yeah, but I'm asking. I'm asking for myself. I'm not.
That's a good one.
Yeah. That's a good point. But okay, is that threatening to me? And I said, like, no. And then there is entered the mechanism of another subject that I'm obsessed is like, how can I marry in an intelligent kind of way with the machine to achieve the best result as possible? Okay, there has been for some years these studies, the percentage of accuracy of only a machine, the percentage of accuracy of something only human, the collaboration, it's even better.
Yeah.
And I said, like, how can we, instead of creating this or that, because I think it doesn't make sense, how can we create the mechanism to do this? Because this is where actually interesting, powerful things can come out.
Yeah.
And I think these very few people are actually pushing toward this, even though that ChatGPT actually does it. Okay. My experience that when I sat down the first time and tried to exchange words with ChatGPT, for me it was like, in the beginning I was very amazed, like, my God, it feels like a miracle. What the hell is this? Okay. But then as you started digging, you can observe the levels of superficiality or the levels of deepening that you can achieve, but not only because ChatGPT have all the entire information, is because the kind of interconnection and exchange that you have with it. So I was saying, like, how can we actually achieve a different kind of thing to acknowledge the powerful of the machine, but to acknowledge that reading between the lines is going to be our stuff for now. Okay, let's push it towards, but let's push towards on that kind of relationship. I don't know, what do you guys think about that?
I just want to add something to that that could be very interesting, because we know that, but before this AI revolution stuff, machines has been beating us a long time on many different things. Like we know that no humans can beat a machine in chess. Actually, we know that the Go game
had...
also, that was very difficult for the machines to beat. Now they beat the better humans on that. And even that we know that, we still play chess, and we find a little enjoyment on that. Even if you know that you are never going to be better than a machine on some task, you find that an enjoyment, and you decide to still dedicate time to play chess. The same things with mathematics. I mean, maybe we don't need anymore to just learn all the basic stuff to do mathematics, but if you find that enjoyment, that you can do it alone, that you can learn, that you can be curious about it, even if the machine is there and all the information is there, I suppose it's our human nature of being curious, and that the learning, it fills you in a way. We are still going to do this type of things, even if the machine is there. So I don't know. I like history. I know that all these machines have all the information. I don't need to go and study history just to study history. I will do it because I want to, right? So it's not. I don't see it as a threat that the machines are going to be able to do everything. It's just still my curiosity will remain the same, or even maybe more, if I have more time to dedicate to the things that are important to me. But you can still, do stuff. I mean, I would like to keep driving even if all the cars are autonomous, even if I don't need to drive anymore. I don't know. Maybe the guys that ride horses, before also have that change of.
This is actually the point that Elon Musk made up when building OpenAI with Sam Altman. He told the exact same thing. The point is, if you have money to live on, then you can do this scenario. But if you need to work to live, and a machine works at your place, what you're gonna do? You cannot still say, okay, I study medicine or maths because I like it. I need to do something else that brings me money to live on. So how you're gonna do it if there's a machine that does it better?
Yeah.
Because Sam Altman made the exact same point, but Sam Altman, the money of Sam Altman, of course.
Exactly. I mean, if the ideal society, say I read about like the AI utopia. So let's say imagine we arrive to this future when we have all these big AIs that can do everything, and now we humans don't need to do anything. Everything is ready. Everything is actually decided for us, and we just have all the day to do whatever. Of course, it's very comfortable if you think about that. Okay, then where my money is going to come from,
exactly,
right? So the machines are going to give me the money, and we are going to live in a matrix type of scenario where everything is simulated, and I just live the best life I can. But then the society will need to keep people alive somehow. So how is going to? That is, I know that many people is trying to figure it out about this. How our society will need to change. So if we arrive to that place where people actually don't need to work because everything is being automated, then how we are going to, what is going to be actually the need to keep us alive? I don't know. I mean, what governments are going to give you money or job? I mean, it's going to be, of course, a complete change on
you need to redefine all the system
from the bottom up. So how you are growing up and what you're going to do all your life.
Then Arnold might show up. Arnold, the Terminator.
Oh yeah.
It's great. I mean, it's really, for us, it's really frustrating to change our ways. That's also a problem. We want to live in the same situation, be comfortable, get all the benefits, and then not be responsible or be what's the word? Be asked to do something new, or you just need to be chill, comfortable, and still get all the benefits what everyone is.
I think that's all that.
I think what you started with before this, I think I said that we are becoming more stupid as people, that we don't need to work more. But I think now we need to work even more than what we worked before, because this is the new reality. The symbiosis will be the new, is the only middle ground. Because if you see the two extremes, either the machines will live or we will live, or we can both live.
Either you need to work more, either you need to work smarter.
Yeah, or
not
pack your
less.
bags.
Huh? Not work less.
Not work less, of course.
For sure, no, for sure work less. No.
Because I think that's what till now what most innovations tried to promise, that you would work less, you'd be given more opportunities, and you'd be more comfortable with your life. Machines will do all the work, or tools will do your heavy stuff, heavy lifting stuff. So I think this idea, how it came through, how it sold, like that's how you sell fridge, let's say, or a hammer, or a vacuum machine. like this will ease your life, right? So I'll be more comfortable, I will not do much work. But this is not how it's going to look like in this age, I think. So that idea of how we're wired with tools and with new technology, that now I don't need to write a letter and send it through an owl, I just need to WhatsApp. So I think we need to work more on the societal aspect, not just individual building now. So I think this also gives a big opportunity as well, like not just reflecting or consider your life, just how it's revolving around, but also it affects the whole society, the whole nation of yours as well. So I think this is also a cool opportunity to work more than on good stuff, I would say. Space exploration, still there. I think that's how the evolution is also going. Like, we're going to the next steps. It's hard to get up and work for it, but it has to be done, and it will be, I think, at the end somehow. So we need to realize it, acknowledge it first, and then move on.
I think coming to the concept, not work less, but work smarter, I think also one of the things that we could do in this context that I don't know if we're going to do in general is how can we work smarter in terms of time, blah, different things that we can do, but to focus on quality of life, to focus on the quality of us as a community, as an individual as well, because it's like in a certain kind of way everything is driven in ourselves by the work you do. Okay, and the quality of life is, like the percentage is like this. How can we just move those percentage in a little bit in a different, or balance it a little bit more? It wouldn't be bad, but to do so you really need how to create the right connection to the machine somehow, and actually create another sort of message also within corporations, because I think one of the fears of corporations with these systems is that people, improve productivity and they are sitting themselves in their house without doing nothing. Okay, like, and this is the concern, and they're paying to do nothing because the machine is doing. And I think what they need to focus on is a little bit different, and what kind of message in terms of quality of life you're going to offer implementing this kind of things as well. So I think, I don't know, we are in a society that the more you work is the more you are considered, or the one that you are more in the system. But at the same time, I think if one benefit that is very visible that technology could bring is actually the fact that they can, refocus the energies of humans in something else. And I think this is not bad.
Yeah, but it's going to be difficult for governments to build out this new society. Is going to be difficult. Companies also. I mean, it's you need to redefine your business and how to move people, and what you're going to do with the guys that don't want the change, that don't want to learn.
Yeah, there are many dimensions, but for example, what I'm saying is a little bit the extension of the countries that are trying 4 days a week work. Okay, Spain has adopted, I think London, UK has performed this experiment, and they have, of course, some values that are behind that of the system, because they are, I think, understanding that to perform better, because we are performing things, we need to be okay with our mental health and with our communities and with our families. So they need to rebalance that.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that
machines no, but no, nothing.
What I'm saying is, like, how can we extend that 4 days into what can technology do to improve quality of life of people? If that's it, if that is the intention. I don't know if that is intention behind, but I'm foreseeing that that could be a benefit. And what is going to be the position of the government, but what is going to be the position also of organizations that they're going to pose. They are going to say, like, you're not doing enough, do more. or you're not doing the same things, you are doing something different, but it's okay if you're having, you're not having like 40 hours sit down into a desk doing something because for the sake of doing it.
I think in these statements, the quality of life, what's the end goal of this? It's money. The more money you get, the more, right? At the end.
Right.
So even if you're told that it's not that the individualistic person is loving his job because it's paying less. He's liking it because he's earning handsomely of whatever he's doing. At the end is the money, which is improving his quality, whatever he's buying, or let's say enjoying, or something like that. Maybe his friends at the office, or how they interact with each other. So at the end, it's the money, I think. And with all these new technologies, a lot of new domains of work has been emerged. So I think with this aspect of work quality, life quality, it would be translated into maybe new jobs, or not jobs, but new industries or something. It's because at the end everything is about money. So there is no collective, amazingly charity work going on everywhere in everyone's head. So,
but this is the problem of how the system was built. What I'm trying to say is, if this thing can change a little bit the logic of the traditional and old system that we are all performing, and that we are set up in that way.
I mean, the tricky thing is that we are talking about humans that don't have like a limit on the ambition. I'm going to get very cynical for a minute here, but it's like, can you guys imagine that the corporations are going to say like, no, okay, perfect, now that we are performing the same thanks to this technology, then you guys can work, come to the office just 3 days, and then you have 4 days free, same paycheck. Are they going to do that? I don't think they are going to do that. They are going to say, okay, now we can increase our production 200 times thanks to this technology.
Come on Sundays as well.
And then then I'm going to think, but do I need to take care of 100 guys, or can I do this with 20 and pay less and earn the same?
For sure. Of course.
And same for the governments. The governments exist because they give work to people to stay there in power. I don't know. It's going to be quite tricky to see how the society, but in general, is going to adapt to this, and to what type of balance they are going to create.
Of course, but I think if I would be a corporation, I think I would be thinking about that, because we have the 4 days situation, we have the fully remote, some companies fully remote because your people needs to be okay. People are dropping jobs because the company it's not flexible. So you're understanding, and there is right now there is the set that probably there is the great la grande missione, come si dice? No, the people quitting. There is going to be another wave of people quitting right now of organization because of engagement logic, because they're not happy, because they're refocusing their purpose. Okay, and this is something that is going to evolve. What I'm saying is, like, in this movement that is already a trend of flexibility to pursue quality of life, how can technology enter and improve that quality of life, and what is the position of the corporation into this? Okay, into this new wave. We don't have the answer, of course, and I think it's okay, but I'm trying to debate on this kind of thing. Well, it has been a very long conversation. Thank you for being here. It's an honor and a proud, so thank you, and let's keep the conversation.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.